The October edition of the Healing Streams live healing services with Pastor Chris turned out to be the most exceptional event ever. In February 2020, young Samuel, a 3-year-old boy, began experiencing weakness and high temperature. His mother took him to the hospital, and he was treated for malaria and was discharged. The weakness and high temperature persisted, but this time his stomach started protruding. Upon visiting the hospital again, and with several tests and examinations conducted, he was diagnosed with Wilms tumor, also known as nephroblastoma, which is a type of childhood cancer that starts in the kidneys. He was immediately placed on chemotherapy, but there was no improvement. Rather, his condition got worse. This condition affected him greatly, as he could no longer do anything by himself. His stomach became so big, and there seemed to be no hope for his deteriorating condition. It was in this state that Samuel's mother heard about the October edition of the Healing Streams live healing services with the man of God, Pastor Chris. Listen as his mother shares his inspiring testimony.
It all started in February 2020. I noticed it was running temperature and it was weak. So I took him to the hospital. He was diagnosed of malaria. He got treated and we went back home. So when we got back home, I noticed he was feeling weak and his stomach started distending. And the first week, I took him back to the hospital. So when we got to the hospital, they said it was the malaria that made his tummy grow big. So I went back home. After a week again, I went back in because the tummy was growing bigger. So when we got to the hospital, they did some scan for him, and the results shows that he has a mass in the liver. So they referred us to a general hospital. So when we got to the general hospital, we did a series of tests, scan. So that was when the doctor told us that it was not a liver problem, that it was a kidney problem, that he has a tumor in his kidney, like Wilms, they call it Wilms tumor. So the doctor said he was going to start chemotherapy treatment. After the treatment, he's going to go in for surgery, and after the surgery, he was going to continue the chemotherapy treatment. So I asked them if the surgery was going to be the solution, if it was going to get cured after the surgery, and they told us it was a 50-50 chance. It was a really heartbroken situation for me and my family. So he started the chemotherapy treatment. After a while, the doctor came to me that it was time for his surgery. So after they took him in for surgery. After the surgery, he was placed on oxygen again because he couldn't breathe well, and his stomach started growing back, so started growing big again. So we had to take him back in for scan, and they said he had a relapse and he's going to need another surgery. He had a relapse, and also the tumor has migrated to his heart. I can't even describe how I felt, because it was really a trying time for me and my family. They discharged us and they told us to come back 3 weeks later. Like, the new chemotherapy is going to be for like every 3 weeks. It's going to be taking it every 3 weeks for 5 days. So it was on the chemotherapy treatment when I noticed, instead of getting improvements, everything was getting worse. his skin was so dark. His nails were so dark. His teeth were black. He had no hair on him, on every part of his body. In fact, he had no hair. So it was at this point that I told my sister, because my sister was aware of everything actually. So it was at this point that I told my sister that, okay, I'm not going in for the treatment again. That she said, okay. She invited me to her church. She introduced me to Christ Embassy Church. It was while we were going to the church that they announced the Healing Stream Life Healing Services with the man of God, Pastor Chris. So I got registered with my son, and then came the day of the Healing Stream Life Service with the man of God, Pastor Chris. Wow, the day we've been anticipating on. The atmosphere was charged. I was prepared because I know that my son is going to be healed. Because I know that I'm never leaving that place the same way I got in. And then the man of God started laying hands on people. People started rejoicing because they got their healing. And then the man of God got to me. He placed his hand on my son. Immediately I jumped up. I started rejoicing. Started throwing my son up because I know my son is healed. I touched my son's tummy because it was always hard. I noticed his tummy softened a bit. And the next day I noticed, right from that point, my son started playing like never before. His tummy started coming down. His eye cleared because he used to have a brown eye. His eye started clearing off. The nails, right from that point, started clearing, started turning white. The skin, it was always wrinkled. The skin started clearing. His color started coming back to normal. It was beautiful. Since after the Healing Stream program, my son can eat well now. He can play. His nails are back to normal. His teeth back to normal. His eyes back to normal. Like, everything has been beautiful. He can do things that he doesn't do before. Like, he plays. He rides his bicycle. I don't have any cost to go back to the hospital again. I don't have any cost to take him back to the hospital for treatment. My son is now normal. His kidney is normal. His intestine is normal. His heart is normal. His tummy is normal. His health is normal. My son is well again, sound and healthy. Everything has been beautiful. Wow. To the man of God, Pastor Chris, thank you so much, Pastor. Thank you so much for answering the call of God upon your life. Thank you so much for allowing God to use you to heal my son. Thank you so much for bringing the Healing Stream Life Healing Service Program. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pastor. May God continue to bless you and use you to heal more people. Thank you so much, Pastor. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, sir.
Spread faith and take healing to the nations this Christmas with a mega distribution campaign of the special December edition of Healing to the Nations magazine. Join us as we distribute print copies of the Healing to the Nations magazine around the world. Let's make a global impact this season by sponsoring free distribution of the Healing to the Nations magazine in regions beyond by adopting countries where these Healing to the Nations magazines will be sent for distribution. Use the Healing to the Nations magazine for healing and evangelical outreaches. Part of your welcome pack in church, special gifts to friends, family, business colleagues, and customers. We saw the amazing impact of the Healing to the Nations magazine more than ever before in the outgoing year.
On the night of my healing, that same day, I was reading my Healing to the Nations magazine. I came across this article called God Honors Your Faith. A section in there spoke saying faith is based on God's word and what God says about you only. That night I said a simple prayer before I was about to go to sleep in the dark. And after that prayer, I touched that side of my body. The pain had completely disappeared.
So join us to spread faith around the world this Christmas season with the Healing to the Nations magazine. For more details, kindly visit the partnership stand after church service. Healing School Partners, together taking healing to the nations.